Got a question for everybody. Um, I don't know if a lot of you guys still work in the field a lot, but like I still work in the field. I can't really leave my guys yet. I haven't like hired a foreman level guy yet. So I'm just like wondering how you manage your time to like be on site and do your bidding and meet with clients and everything. Like I've been struggling with that, and it's been honestly stressing me out because I'm like, I have to be on site to do the actual work, but like, I also have to like bid jobs to keep the machine rolling. That's the question I got.
Okay. So how to manage time when you're still owning a lot of the hats in the business before you've been able to hire out more like project manager, estimator type?
So the advice I would have for that is be as mobile as possible. So I have a laptop that, I just got with my cert with Verizon Unlimited Hotspot. I have a laptop that I carry around with me wherever I go. I have an iPad that I carry around with me wherever I go. And, like I'm still very much putting out fires all the time out in the field, trying to be less and less. But no matter what, I mean, there's going to be something that pops up that's going to draw your attention and draw your attention. So trying to just be able to work wherever you are, um, whether that's on a job site with a truck. And then the other thing is like your most valuable resource is time. And so like when you're getting started and you're in that building phase and you're trying to drive revenue and have to do all these things, you may have to schedule first thing in the morning estimates, evening estimates. Like, hey, the time that I'm available is once I finish up this job, I'm going to anticipate that's at 4:30 this afternoon. I can swing by as soon as I'm done. If you are having to be on site, and then the other thing is when you're looking at guys pay, and I don't know what you pay your guys, but if it's a difference between 35 and 40, a no headache person is way more valuable than a good deal on a person that's a lot of headaches. And someone that's self-sufficient is worth $5 more an hour if you don't have to think about them. So if you got to train the guys up, hey, this is how you order the material. But I always, whenever I'm with somebody, I talk through like everything that I'm doing. Try to change the mindset from this is what you should do to what do you think you should do. So then you're putting the person you're trying to train in the driver's seat, rather than you're just telling them, hey, go to this supply house and order this material and pick it up. Hey, pull out a pen and paper. What do you think the parts are we need for this job? And then once they make that parts list, you're checking it over and you're telling them, hey, X, Y, and Z looks good. What about this kitchen sink? What other parts are we missing for that? And then at that point, you're making them think for their job. You're not thinking for them. That's the hardest thing that I do, because when you're in a rush, you just say, hey, this is what you need to do. Go to the supply house and pick up the parts. And then in that world, they're not thinking at all. They're just a monkey.
Yeah, it's really
That
good.
would be my suggestion is enable the guys to learn on their own. And then the second is be as mobile as possible, whether that's you got to pay for unlimited hotspot or you're getting cellular service on a mobile device like a laptop or an iPad. Be as mobile as possible so you don't need to be in an office to get your office work done. Make your truck your office. When I'm driving, constant phone calls. I'm always working, even on the times that you would feel like are dead time, like right now I've got a earphone in my head because I get 50 to 60 phone calls a day, and you can't stop what you're doing for every phone call. That would be my 2 cents on it.
I think he touched on something. For so long we was hiring those cheap guys, and you always get cheap results with cheap guys. So I think it's worth the price of paying extra pay and getting the top guys instead of getting the bottom guys, because it'll save you money in the long run. You might think up front, oh, that's so much money, I can't afford that, but end up they'll start making you more money than those other guys are losing you.
Yep. I think it's a huge thing, really big, important feedback with what Jordan said, but a huge thing that you're able to empower your team and really equip them to be able to do their own work. Like you said, you end up a lot of times making yourself the bottleneck if you create checklist monkeys is kind of my thoughts on what that ends up looking like. If you tell them exactly what they have to do, when they have to do it, how they have to do it, and do all of the thinking for them, all they can do is just execute, and usually even that's not perfect. But I think with that as well, I'll add this, and then I think maybe Jeff, you had something you wanted to say in this, or if it's a question, go to Jordan first. But a big thing for me, Charles, is before you have the ability to scale with hiring, you have to control your time as an owner. And this is probably something that you'll cover with your coach here soon if you haven't already, but it's the concept of the rocks calendar. Unless you determine what your time is going to be and how your time is going to be spent, everyone is always going to present whatever they're bringing to your attention as the most important and the most urgent thing that you have to handle right now. And that's wrong. Very few things ever really fall in that category, but everything is always communicated as that category. I think Tim's going to talk about this some too next week, so definitely be there for that. But this rocks calendar is really important to me, and everything that we do, especially in the business boost, kind of the really just throughout the entire course of anybody working with us, this is what ties it all together, is creating space intentionally for you to do the core things that really matter and let everything else kind of find their way around it, right? Your time's going to be filled one way or another, and that's always going to be the case. But this is huge. The idea behind it is that a human's brain doesn't multitask. It's neurologically impossible. What's actually happening is you're switching back and forth between tasks really quickly. So the idea is if we block out time to do a specific task, we're going to stay in gear and we're going to be much more effective. The little 15 minutes, 10 minutes here, 30 minutes there, all of that adds up to be a tremendous amount of time, not only for the time you spent on that task, but also the time ramping up into it and then gearing back out of it whenever it's done. So for you, Charles, a really important thing is this, and I'm going to put the link to it in the chat here in a second. There's this video link that gives a bit more of an explanation there. But starting to plan out your priorities as a business owner, and these 5 things at the top, plus RGC time, if you create those rocks in your calendar first, not planning out your every half hour to-do list and calendar schedule, but just the 5 rocks at the top that say, this is always going to need my attention as a business owner, whether I'm doing 50,000 a year or 50 billion a year. These 5 areas are going to need your attention in some way, shape, or form, and how that looks adapts with time. But those core areas of focus are really not going to change. So creating space for you to do like appointments for walkthroughs, like saying Monday, Wednesday, Friday afternoons are your time to try to schedule your walkthroughs first. That's your first suggestion of availability, rather than saying, hey, whenever, what time works for you, and I can make it work for you, customer. You say first, right, I've got this time and this time. Which one works better for you? Neither of those? Okay, then we can work outside of that. Creating spaces for those core aspects of your business is really key in that time before you're able to really kind of hire out and delegate. It's a big deal. So if you haven't started talking with your coach about this, I would. And in general, this is going to be good for anyone at any time. So that'd be my 2 cents there. Mr. Jeff, you want to add in here?
Yeah. Jordan said some incredible stuff, and it's stuff that I need to remind myself on a regular basis too. Specifically, the component about instead of just giving tasks, like here's all these things that I need to have done, and then you literally just give that task to somebody else. Instead, implementing the how would you accomplish this aspect. And I could not agree more about the few bucks more an hour for the right person, right? We don't want to hire for necessity. We don't want to hire out of, we're in a pinch, right? We require somebody right now. We want to hire the right person and put them in because they fit. And so investing that few, $5, maybe even $10 more an hour to get somebody that is self-sufficient, logical, can break things down, saves you phone calls, saves you text messages. It's like that episode of South Park with Walmart. I can't afford to not afford this. You literally are going to be saving yourself, right? The whole point of this is to invest the right way so that we can get out of the way. And the whole reason I wanted to comment was Charles's question. I came in kind of halfway through, but I got the gist, I think. And it's kind of an overarching problem that a lot of us have before we have people, right? We're wearing 57 freaking hats. How do I get the job done? How do I run the estimates? How do I, what is the top thing I need to handle today? I've got marketing that needs to be done. I need to advertise. I need to work on the website. I need to, and that's the biggest question for a lot of people that are really kind of ramping up is my time is valuable, but how do I figure out how it is best served? All of those plates need to keep spinning, right? Well, I need to run this estimate, otherwise I don't have work coming in. But I also have a job and I got to finish that job to get paid so that I can buy the business cards so that I can do the thing. It's really overwhelming at first. You want to get business cards, you only think you need 500, and Vistaprint goes, oh, well, if you buy 2,000, you're only paying, 79 cents a card. And you're like, but I don't need 2,000 cards. It's overwhelming at first. And so I really like that you shared that, Bryce, because I've actually been looking for relatively a similar spreadsheet where you can put these are, not necessarily fires. You don't want the idea of fires because then it brings stress, but the rocks that are constantly going to be challenges that we're going to need to tackle, and then subsequently ordering from there on out what is most important to handle. And the guys are right. I mean, when I was first going and it was just painting, I was running estimates sometimes 6 o'clock at night after my son was in bed and I could leave and my wife was fine, 7 o'clock, whatever. You just did what you had to do. But while you were doing this, you're constantly posting on Indeed, following up on potential leads for guys you can hire. And as soon as you get even one person in place that can take over one hat that you're wearing, that reduces a certain amount of stress and focus and attention so you can put more on those other rocks. You really just have to determine what is the most important thing that you can get in right now that you would have time to train for that would benefit your business the most. It's really hard to decide on, and obviously that's why it's so beneficial for all of us to be in this group together. But I can't stress enough, you're going to be running ragged for a little bit, Charles. But Jordan's right. Going mobile, we opted not to get the iPad with service because I didn't want to pay another charge. I just do mobile hotspot on my phone. It's unlimited with Verizon, and I can link up to it anywhere. I get Verizon service. It goes right to my iPad. Never had a problem. And then we're not paying for some extra connection. Everything's a freaking fee and a service charge right now, right? So as much as you can cut your overhead on that's really wise, but you do need to be mobile. I'd also look into an iPad case that has a keypad built into it. So you can use the iPad like a little mini Mac on the go. And the pencil, it's brilliant. Draw up on the photos, company cam, the whole 9 yards. It makes it so much easier. But that actually ties into kind of a bit of my question too, that I always keep coming back to. I've been doing this for so long now. I constantly ask, what is the most important thing I need to be doing right now? And when you have those team members in place, when you've grown your team to have some reliable individuals with you, you can start bouncing that idea. You don't have to be the only one making that choice. If you've got a lead that you really rely on and you know how production's going in your shop or on site or whatever, you can lean into him and say, do I need to get out of the way today? What do you guys need from me right now? What is the most important thing I can do to help you? And then you get out of the way and you go and you run your estimate and you do the next important thing. It's tough, right? But if we're just thinking about it, we're ruminating all the time, we're not making choices. You got to make that first choice and then go, oh crap, this took more time than I needed it to today and it didn't benefit me as much. That's clearly not the biggest ROI for my time. I need to write those proposals, go meet with the customer, sell them on the spot, move to the next important thing.
Thanks. That was
Bryce,
really helpful, everybody.
Bryce, you put that in the chat, that rocks thing.
I did, yeah. And there's a video link on there that gives a more in-depth explanation. I think it's like 15 minutes long versus the 3-minute version I gave here.
How do you guys
So-
get in the chat on mobile? How do you access the dang messages?
It's a good question. I never joined from my phone, so I don't know actually.
I've been, at home almost every call that we've taken, and I'm remote. Okay, I found them. I got it.
All right, nice.
Jeff, I can email that to you if you'd like.
Yeah, if you can, I'd really appreciate it. Do you have my email address?
Yeah, I can pull it up here.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That would be really helpful. You guys are the best.
Thank you. We try.
All right, Mr. Russell, you had your hand up there for a question, I think, early on as well. You're still muted, sir.
How you doing, guys? So we are looking, I don't know if anybody here uses House Call Pro, but we're looking into the add-on that they have. It's Ply, P-L-Y. It's like a inventory management system. I don't know if anybody uses any inventory management systems or if they have any experience with Ply, plus or minus, good, bad. My goal in the next 3 months is to get our jobs to a gross margin. I want to be able to track jobs to a gross margin of 0.02%, right? So 2 decimal points. I've got the labor part figured out, but I need to start costing on jobs for materials. So I've figured I basically got 2 options. One is I just PO every job, and every job has all the parts brought from the supply house. Problem is I've got a warehouse right now, probably with shelves and shelves of parts already. So it's like, how do I go from just looking at a monthly gross margin to a per job gross margin, right? And I know I need to cost subcontractors, I need to cost materials, I need to cost labor from my guys on those jobs. That's the end goal, right? Is per job gross margin. I know I need some sort of way to input inventory or materials into those jobs. I don't really want to go a strictly PO system where just everything is ordered from a supply house for the cost of those jobs. So it's like, if we're going to pull parts off vans, if we're going to pull parts off a shelf, how do I then, what is the best way, what is the most efficient way to get those job material cost into our software, which is House Call Pro, to get to a gross margin? That's my question.
Nice. A lot to that, but if I get it, the essence of it, Jordan, is just what's a good software for inventory management and being able to, with your ultimate goal, track material cost on jobs.
Yep. So Ply has barcodes that essentially, I don't know if they're barcodes or QR codes, but you got a rack in your warehouse and you got different bins on it. One has, I'm an electrician, so one has 1/2-inch connectors, one has 3/4 connectors, one has 1-inch connectors. Each one of those has a QR code, right? And then that would be warehouse, and then you'd have van 1, van 2, van 3, van 4, and each one of the bins on that van has a set of barcodes that correspond. So the guys take 4 connectors off of this bin, they scan it, and then that scan automatically uploads into House Call Pro. And then there's already material cost associated with each item. So they take 4 1/2-inch connectors, each one's 50 cents, $2 get uploaded to that job for material cost. That has been my goal for the last 2 years, and I just get spun in I get my wheels turning, and I know it's a huge undertaking. It's going to take a lot of effort to get to that point, but I'm still at the baby steps. So if anyone has advice or has been down that road and you can guide me a little bit, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, for sure. Any clients have some feedback here? Anybody that's tried doing anything like this or done it successfully?
And I did get Ply, P-L-Y, from, you remember Laura? I haven't seen her on the group call in a while. But
Pierce, yeah.
yeah, Laura recommended Ply because she uses House Call Pro too, and she said that's what they use and it works really well. But that was the only advice I got from anyone, and that was a couple months ago.
Yeah. Yeah, anything that's going to integrate directly is going to be better. So if you know for sure there's an inventory software that's been connected to House Call Pro, that's great. Supply is a good option. I hadn't heard of it before personally, but any of the clients tracking their inventory? Maybe have some feedback here. There may not be.
I guess one of the questions with that, Jordan, is because it sounds like you've identified the tool, the software that's going to be able to help you do that. Is the question just how do I get the guys to scan the QR code consistently, or because it sounds like from a process standpoint, you kind of have it identified on what needs to happen. Is that
Right.
fair to say?
I mean, the underlying issue that I'm at right now is I pay my guys an hourly plus 5% of the job, right? Now that's 5% of the job, whether it's at 100% profit margin or a 0% profit margin. So I'm taking like a huge risk because they could sell a job for $2,000 and it has $2,000 in parts. And the way our contracts are wrote out with the employees, I'm still giving them 5% of that job. So I'm at a huge risk. I'm paying them whether or not the job's successful or unsuccessful. So I don't know how to basically incentivize the guys where I'm not putting myself at risk. And I don't know how to get to a gross margin if I'm not tracking materials. You know, and I mean, above and beyond that, I don't know if a roll of wire is going out of the door for a side job. I mean, I have no tracking system, and I've got probably $100,000 worth of parts in my warehouse. You know, so like I'm third year in business. There's a lot going on all the time, you know, but like this has just been on my to-do list for forever. It's finally coming to the front because I got some help here from this guy. So I've been able to bring in a service manager to help out with the helping to offload some of my tasks in terms of like in the field and managing the guys and things like that. But like now that I've got some help, like that is on my to-do list, task one, you know.
Nice.
I mean, I guess how does anybody, let me start with just this. Does anybody track jobs to gross margin, like individual jobs to gross margin? And if you do, how do you do that?
Well, we're using Job Tread to do it, and we're having kind of the same issue. We're learning. We just implemented this a few months ago because we used it to do our estimates, and then it's trying to tie what actually went to the job site, what did the guys actually do to the line items we estimated on. And I think when we get it set up, it'll be a lot like Builder Trend. It'll probably be a lot more connectivity. But I don't know that it's going to be able to inventory track like what you're talking about. You know, what goes in, what goes out. Most of our jobs are bigger, you know, so we're tracking more receipts than items.
And I mean, that would be like the easiest way for me to do it would just be like X the warehouse, everything is a PO. I don't want to give in to the easy option without, because I don't think that that's like the best way to do it. That's the easy option. I don't think it's the best option, you know?
Yeah, it's a good line to draw, Jordan, honestly. If you're happy with the tool apply, I think that could be a good one. As far as incentivizing your team, I would go back to the merit-based pay system. If you make the pay that you're giving, I think that's part of your question, so correct me if I'm off on the wrong limb here, but making that part of the merit-based pay system is that they're paid not the revenue percentage of the total job, but the gross margin percentage. And then it's on them as a built-in inherent responsibility to get it tracked correctly. And you've got the software to equip them to do it. And that would then be motivation to do it. So they create the report and you always have to validate it, but that way you could see and track it a little bit more. There's always going to be a way to gamify whatever system and structure that you create. So there's always still going to be that risk that people are going to take stuff or send it off on some side jobs or snip here and there. But inventory and inventory management is a hefty, hard problem to manage. Really everywhere. Even, yeah, this was one of my main projects whenever I was working at Pepsi before I worked at Revenue Growth, was that inventory management. And we spent $500,000 on a software to be able to track inventory. And it was still a big problem in that warehouse. Just because people come down to it at the end of the day if it's not directly tied to their pay. So is your question, like, did I basically say what you were already asking and saying, hey, I want to switch to a merit-based pay, but I want to get this tracking done first. How do I incentivize them? Or did you not moved into that gross profit pay?
No, like we're currently not tracking gross profit. So like I want to get to the point where we're tracking gross profit per job, not per month. Right. So like that's the point. And I'm just still at the baby steps of it. Right. Like I haven't like really moved any mountains yet. Right. So like someone told me once, like a wise person or a dumb person learns from his own mistakes, a smart person learns from somebody else's, right? So if somebody else has been down this road and they're like, hey, don't forget this step, so I don't get a month into it and I've totally missed something. But Woody here had something to add here.
I guess for those of you who do incentivize or bonus on a, I guess, gross margin or not top dollar revenue, but like gross margin dollars on the job. What do you guys do for that incentive? Is it a flat rate? Is it a minimum threshold that you would have to exceed to be eligible for a bonus in addition to your hourly rate? Or is there a sliding scale that you guys have found successful that if they hit a certain percentage on each job, they get that as a commission or a bonus based on how profitable the job is?
Yeah. For me, if you do a merit-based pay or commission type of structure, it's not also with an hourly rate. That's dipping into two systems that then compete with each other, and you get the worst of both worlds, not the best of both worlds. So if you're going to do a straight commission like that, that's like revenue minus materials cost, and then they get commissioned a percentage of that amount, it'd be something you want to calculate from your P&L. But I think generally when you're doing a commission on the gross profit margin, somewhere between, I would say 15 to 20, 23% is really reasonable. It's a wide range, but just finding that spot that makes sense, that essentially replicates what you would be doing on your most profitable jobs, but then scaling that scales, because the more profitable they are, the more they're going to make from it, and the less profitable are, the less they're going to make from it as well. So
Right.
There's not that like need for a sliding scale that says once you reach this certain threshold, that's what you're eligible for. But it'd be on everything and without an hourly rate base.
So what about base salary plus commission? So I guess transparently, I have previous history with a large organization in the service industry that has kind of done some of this, but they've had ample time to develop and build their processes. Jordan comes from another service shop that has a similar setup. We're trying to figure out what the best path or best processes are for us to kind of start from ground up and build our foundation here, so that as we grow and bring new guys on, we know the best structure or compensation platforms to put them in.
Yeah. And Bryce, we originally did do just the straight percentage of the job, right? It was a massive headache. We didn't account for the what ifs. we didn't account for the emergency callbacks where someone else had to go and do it. Like, how do I pay that person on a emergency callback situation? We didn't anticipate for like, what if additional labor is needed? We didn't anticipate so that was the original model that we had done, and actually you had recommended that.
Mhm.
And when you said it, it was like, oh my God, this solves all my problems. This is so simple. Let's just do this. And we did it. We jumped into it before we thought of all like the what if situations. And that's why we went to an hourly pay, like a solid hourly pay plus a lower percentage of the job.
Mhm.
And that was just so far it's actually worked pretty well to do like an hourly rate plus a small percentage of the job, right? So I'm not really looking to change that again because we found a nice little niche in there with that. Anyways, I've done enough talking here. I don't mean to eat up the group's time if this is kind of an off-topic thing where not a lot of people have an experience with that individual item that I asked. I can get with Nicole once we get off this call and see if she has any advice for it.
Well, by Nicole, I hope you mean me, because I'm going to be the one meeting with you after this
Oh shit! What's up, Robert?
meeting. Sorry, I was on a call for a while, and I got to hear some of what you were saying. We can, Jordan, kind of dig through this more, but I think in catching some of this, my question is more along the lines of, is this actually due to a breakdown of the compensation structure? Is it actually the compensation structure that's not working? Or is it other parts of the business that may not be working that is causing the compensation structure to fail?
Nope.
So for the offhanded cases, it's like, why are we getting callbacks, right? Emergency callbacks. And like, if that's happening, to me, there's an easy solution for that. I hear what you mean, but on some of this, I wonder if it's more of a process issue and getting guys to follow a process than it is about like, hey, how can we adjust the compensation structure again?
We weren't really so sorry, Robert. I don't mean to butt in here and jump.
Yeah,
in.
please.
The original question was, like, I really like, my goal is to get individual jobs, processed and evaluated at a gross margin percentage, right? And so right now at this current time, I'm able to only check like a monthly P&L statement to see how that's
right.
looking. So right now I can input labor cost on a job. I can input revenue cost on a job. I am working to get to a point where I'm also including material cost on a job, right? So I'm looking at inventory management systems. The one that links with House Call Pro is called Fly. And my question was essentially, does anybody have any experience with tracking jobs to a gross margin percentage? Like, how, when a guy is pulling a part off a van, is that efficiently and correctly uploaded in terms of a material cost to the job so we can get to gross margin percentage? Because right now I'm doing commission off the top dollar revenue. I'm not doing commission off of a gross margin.
Okay. So and my whole point in saying what I just said is I don't think you should change that. So I think trying to change the compensation structure is in the direction. Are you using job costing with House Call Pro? Do you know about this?
To an extent, we
have like a flat book price book,
Yeah.
but we don't have like that flat book price book doesn't know if we're, we do a panel change out. It doesn't know what the cost of that panel is. It doesn't know what the cost of individual breakers are.
Yeah, we can
what
track
the wire is
time on the job essentially, and POs that were pulled under that job number. Anything outside of that, our warehouse inventory here that we stock the vehicles or vans with, the panels, the meter enclosures that we keep in house, none of that is really applied. That's kind of all at the higher level for office inventory or shop inventory So job costing down the road on gross profit or margin there, we want to figure out how we apply all of that or how we get it integrated into the system so we can apply that and
Right.
then compensate based off performance versus tickets sold.
Right. So, but in every invoice, they're having to put the materials that were used on the invoice, right? So we
Not
know.
right now.
Okay, so we can get more into it after this call, but my recommendation would be like and with the job costing feature of House Call Pro, you can label materials, and so we know that materials are being used. I think the adjustment is actually a little bit simple. It may take some work to get there, but we just need to have a way to, first of all, require, hey, we're going to track materials used on the job, right? That'd be like the first immediate step. We need to have that a part of the invoice, even that if you don't want that a part of the customer facing invoice, that we need to have it logged, right? I think it's okay if you have it as part of the customer facing invoice, if you have a good price book, by the way. So that would be the first step is like, okay, in the field, we need to make sure that we're adding materials to invoices. And then if we have a way to add materials to invoices, then there has to be like a price that we're putting for those materials. Let's say you have a markup on that. So the system would just be, what is the actual price? I think that might mean building out a like price book. And there's some easier ways to do that than manually building an entire price book of every single kind of electrical material that you could ever use. But essentially that's how it's needing to be done. We're just needing guys to add the materials to each invoice. And then we're needing to make sure that we have those invoices or with those materials priced, right? That there's a set price for that. And that's what I think needs to be solved is, okay, how do we do that? Right. I don't think that the solution is going to be anywhere else other than, hey, we need to change our process to make sure guys are adding materials and invoices. And we got to make sure that we have like a price book that includes material list. And that's probably what the other people you guys worked for did anyway, right? They're probably you guys at these other big service shop was probably adding line item materials to your invoice that were used for a job.
Yeah, yes, I me personally, I did. But it was a very laborious task, right? So I'm a big efficiency, I'm a big simplification thing, right? So what I implement, I don't want it to be where every piece of pipe is EMT.50 and I got to remember like a task code that's like a mile long. So what we're looking at with Ply, it actually has scanners and barcodes. So like barcode,
that's a great
you
system.
Take 4 pieces off, like 4. But my original question was just it's a new experience for me. I'm going down a rabbit hole on. I was just looking for anybody who had maybe gone down it first. Maybe advice,
Yeah, I think that's for service companies, that's like that's something that it's a business problem that absolutely needs to be solved at a certain point. But I think a lot of people aren't necessarily at that point where that is as important, right? Just kind of like how you guys have experienced so many great things in the growth of your business. And now this is the next kind of business problem, right? But what I would do is what I'd tell you is like, go forward with Ply, like get Ply, like you need inventory management software anyway. You're at that point where you need that in your business. Like you said, you got 100 grand of materials going out, get the Ply system. That's going to be an integration. But after you get that system, the next step would be, okay, now we got to add materials to invoices. And if you can do, I think literally just those 2 things, then House Call's job costing feature can take care of the rest from there.
Sorry, everyone, for hijacking the whole meeting.
Did he hijack the whole? Have you guys been talking about this for 45 minutes?
No, Jordan's just being
I know.
being silly, man.
So by the way, here's what
This is what we're here for, man.
Yeah. So like I've been a part of other group calls myself, like as a client of that group call, where like people do that. They like apologize for hijacking the meeting. But at the end of the day, and this is what I tell people like on onboarding, anytime they come on board with us, like this call is really what you make it, you know? And so, and I think a lot of times people, even if they're not immediately dealing with this problem necessarily, they benefit from hearing the solution. You know, they benefit from hearing, okay, once a business gets to this size, these are the kind of problems that they may have to be solving. And this is how they solve it, right? So I think it's good. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I don't think there's anyone in here that's like upset because, like, you know, they're not able to get a question in. The call is open to anybody who wants it, kind of idea. I did see Dalen's hand up though while we were talking. Is Dalen still here?
Yes, I am.
What's up, buddy?
I came in, I guess, in the midst of everything, and I caught the wrong part. I didn't. It ended on inventory when I came in. It was on commission, and I'll have some input on that. But it sounds like it was the wrong answer for the question.
Cool. Hey, Lindsay. You're muted, but how do you guys do inventory management? I bet you guys have
Yeah, we
some
got
pretty sophisticated solution.
got a lot of inventory. I think she keeps the inventory on contractor foreman.
Okay, that's the software you use?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd have to ask her about that, but yeah, we probably got $300,000 or $400,000 worth of inventory.
Yeah, I would imagine it was something like that.
Yeah.
So Lindsay's a custom cabinet manufacturer, in case anyone was wondering. And so that's and he's got a pretty big business. So I was curious about how he's doing it.
Auditing your supply house quarterly when you're doing inventory, because we don't do it to a scale of every item. We inventory A items, which are things that we use just daily, weekly. Big ticket items are bid to the job. They're not a kept item. But every quarter when we do a stock order for the shop, I inventory, I look back and see what did we pay for it last quarter to make sure, because sometimes manufacturers, especially in this world with during the tariff scare, things were changing quarterly in pricing, and it could go up 20%. So with inventory, I don't know the electrical world whatsoever, but in plumbing, we keep probably $30,000 worth of parts on our trucks at all times. And we have a decent idea of what those cost quarterly if we need to adjust flat rate pricing, because we do everything by the job ticket rather than time and materials. If we need to adjust that, we'll put the percentage in whatever that went up that quarter or whatever that may be. Because I want it simple like you, Jordan. I can't go through and document every single part. And it may be something beneficial at some point, but the big service company I work for coming up, they didn't do it either, and they do very well without it. So I don't know if I necessarily need it yet.
Yeah, and I know that, like, so the task of like inventory management and coming up with line item pricing for, like, you know, all your material costs, especially in the world of plumbing and electrical or HVAC, where you just have so much random stuff that you don't always necessarily know that you will need, but you need to have at all times, right? That can be a big task. And something I've done with other service companies who get to the spot is we've made like an internal hire that's kind of like an office admin, but it was actually an apprentice that we made part of their responsibility to be like inventory management, where half of their week is literally we're paying somebody not a super high wage, but enough to make it, you know, worth it, but to actually manage and keep track of the inventory. I even had one client that built their own mini supply house in their warehouse, where it was like there was this locked gate, and I visited this client. I saw this myself. I was like very impressed with it. And this guy is kind of like an engineer type of guy, you know, like he customizes and custom builds like AR-15s in his free time. He actually sold his plumbing business. I think that's what he's doing now. But all that to say is that, you know, you had to actually log going in and out anytime a new part was taken that you'd add to your truck. They had plenty of parts where made sure that all the trucks stayed stocked up. They ran 5 trucks at a time. But there's also like room for things that the task of managing this with the current resources that you have on your team can seem like a lot. And sometimes an easy, just low hanging fruit move is like, hey, if you make this part of someone's responsibility for their job, it's a lot easier to manage. So
we have the mini supply house, and that helps inventory phenomenal. Last year we had to spend a lot of money in the fourth quarter. So I went and bought racks, and I bought all the A items, the things that they're going. I looked at just a couple months of supply house tickets and went through and bought everything that the guys were going in the supply house and getting. And we have a salesman that comes every other week, and he goes through it where I don't even have to, and looks into all the bins and keeps us at X amount for each thing. And that helps that as well. Keeping that inventory track, because we know everything the A items, that is not the big ticket, big pumps and things of that sort. We don't keep those on stock, but water heaters and fill valves, flappers, supply lines, and things of that sort. We've got in our shop probably 70 or 80 grand in just small parts. In our supply house, if you get in good with the supply house, we only do mom and pop because they do go the extra mile. They'll help you with that as well.
Yeah, and
that's really good.
Kind of piggyback off Dalian, we just set up like bin.
By the way, just to let everyone know, this is how Dalen taught me how to pronounce his name. How many of you guys heard of Waylon Jennings? Right, great country singer. He's one of my favorites. So you pronounce Dalen like Waylon, just with the D.
Dalen.
So just Dalen. Yeah. I was calling him DeLeon, I think, for a while, and he gave me that. He's like, have you ever heard of Waylon Jennings? I was like, yeah, dude, of course. Anyway.
And all I'm gonna say, man, is if you showed up to my house with that mustache, I would be like, I am safe. I got a plumber at my house.
That's right.
Jordan
is gonna pop up here. He's got it.
Jordan, bro, you are married, man. I think your wife is on the call. Calm down, man.
He only said things about other women, not about other guys.
No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
But yeah, with our supply house, with our supply house, they come twice a month, or twice a week, and we have mins and maxes, right? So like 2 rolls of wire is our min, 5 is our max. So they come twice a week. If we ever drop below 2, they refill it back to 5. But that allows us to keep most of the cost at our supply house within regular fill. So we have like 120 items that they are filling for us, but we keep our max pretty low, and we just increased the amount of trips that they come to refill our stock. That keeps the material cost off of us and keeps it on Echo, which is our supply house. But they have that's how far I am right now with the inventory management. So I've set up like our warehouse in shop, but now it's like, how do I get that material that's set up to be costed to the jobs, right? So that would be my suggestion with people that are keeping inventory. Try to keep like a low inventory at your shop and increase the repetitiveness that it gets filled. So
yes,
twice a week.
I completely agree with that, honestly.
It's called like 6 Sigma or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's
just in time inventory.
Lean 6 Sigma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard both of those. Just in time inventory is a good one. I had one plumber dude that he wouldn't even keep inventory on his truck ever. He would like literally go to the supply house for every single job. I don't necessarily advocate for that method. He was very attached to it, but yeah, I do like the kind of the Lean and 6 Sigma just in time inventory approaches.
I hate the supply house. I hate the guys going to supply house because I know how the game is. They go in there and their buddies in there. They're talking for 20 minutes, go to the Coke machine and get the snacks, and then they burn an hour up getting a flapper.
Yeah, then they go to front desk, chatted up with Betty or whoever, and
Yep.
So
another
we
plumber
have,
comes up to them and asks them if they're looking for another job. And
Yep.
our procedures is actually going to the supply house is the last option. First
Yes.
option is delivery schedule. So we have 2 supply houses that will deliver up to 4 times a day. So they have like a 7 a.m. delivery, a 9 a.m. delivery, an 11 a.m. delivery, and a 1 p.m. delivery. So it's like utilize those delivery schedules before you're actually putting your tool belt down and driving to a supply house. But the guys still end up there all the time, right?
Not to change the subject, but I guess y'all all know who Riley Green is, huh?
He's from my neck of the woods. I used to date a girl that he was dating for a short period of time. He grew up about 45 minutes from me.
Oh, where you at?
I came up in Asheville, which is Asheville, Raglan, Ohatchee, Jacksonville. So it's about a 45-minute stretch through the woods to get there. And he used to come, and the girl that I was dating was a very, they own pretty much the city of Raglan and land and mineral rights. So their family was friends with their family, and he'd come and play at their lake house. Well enough, dude. Good music.
Yeah, I know. I guess it was probably maybe 7 years ago or something. You know, we was working the whole state of Alabama from north to all the way down to Montgomery, and he was a superintendent for Stone Martin Homes. And
That's his family's business.
oh, okay. And you know, I just talked to him. I really didn't know him back then, you know, because we done all their cabinets. And I had just, you know, talked to him, and I said one day when, you know, he's talking about, I'm gonna go play music, this, you know, tonight or something, talking about the weekend. And I didn't think anything about it, you know, I didn't realize he was big time. And then all of a sudden he broke out, and I was like, hey, I knew that guy, you know, and he probably don't even remember me now, but
I have a story like that with Zach Bryan, because he's from my neck of the woods.
I've met Zach Bryan met him at a dive bar in Nashville before Nashville blew up. He was really cool back then. I've heard mixed reviews on him now.
Dude, I've got good friends that have hung out with him a number of times, and it hasn't been good. But Dalen, you reminded me of the Shane Gillis bit where he talks about how like he talks about how the worst ex-boyfriend that your current girlfriend can have is a Navy SEAL. You know, like,
yeah.
What are you gonna say to that? Like, oh, he liked to you know, lift weights with a bunch of guys and go on long runs, pussy. You know, like
I was after him. Like
I know that's what I mean. That's what reminded me of it when your girlfriend dated like a country music star. That's like kind of a tough follow up.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah,
The way I take
tough.
that is you just have the better mustache.
I definitely have the better
Won.
mustache.
Let's
go. You had the better mustache. That's what happened.
That's it. That's all it is.
Hey, real quick, Sean Sweeney, dude, how are you doing, man? How are things going for you?
They're going all right. I mean, it's been a rough ride. I'm really finishing up my my subcontracting efforts.
Good.
And next week, I'm trying to focus on getting our own work here.
Let's go.
We just set up the local service ad page.
Good.
That I didn't know that I needed.
Yep.
But you know, leads are scarce, and not for lack of trying, but or spending money on them. But things are tight right now. That's all.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're doing a lot of the right things, and headed in the right direction, both with the marketing and with the change of business from being a sub to getting your own customers. That can be a really difficult adjustment initially. right? It's a totally new way of doing business. But stay the course, my friend, and the leads will start to come. You know,
Hoping so.
it's good to see you. I just want to check in. Let's go ahead and wrap up today. Most everyone has to go. So we'll count down from 3. We all say growth. 3, 2, 1.
Growth.
Jay, Damon, Jeff, good to see all you guys. Philip, have a great week. Mr. Stewart,